Group photo of the crew of the British battleship Hood. After the battle with the Bismarck, only 3 of the 1,415 crew members survived. A dog bids farewell to its fallen U.S. soldier friend. Afghanistan War, 2004. The completion of the assembly of the bomb, called Fat Man. It would later be dropped on Nagasaki in 1945. A German Shepherd rests after a 20-hour search for survivors in the wreckage of the World Trade Center in 2001. According to veterinarians, many of the service dogs involved in the search experienced stress and depression as they found only bodies instead of living people. To uplift them, specialists asked volunteers to hide among the wreckage so the dogs could believe they had found a survivor. A woman cries at the gates of the Auschwitz concentration camp, 1981. David Dellinger and Jerry Rubin nominate a pig for the position of president in Grant Park, Chicago, USA, 1968. An emotional girl holds a bundle of grass where Ringo Starr once walked at Los Angeles Airport, USA, 1964. Love, Los Angeles, USA, 1959. One of the most incredible moments in medicine. In 1922, scientists at the University of Toronto went to a hospital ward with children in a coma dying from diabetic ketoacidosis. Imagine a room full of parents sitting by their children's beds, awaiting their inevitable death. The scientists moved from bed to bed, injecting the children with a new purified extract, insulin. As they began injecting the last child in the coma, the first child they had treated started to wake up. One by one, all the children came out of diabetic coma. The room of death and despair became a place of joy and hope. The scientists also transferred the insulin patent to the University of Toronto for just $1 to ensure no company could monopolize its production, thanks to Dr. Banting and Dr. Best. Napoleon, the mascot of the French artillery during the Battle of Verdun, France, World War I, 1916. Napoleon, the mascot of the French artillery during the Battle of Verdun, France, World War I, 1916. Equipment for whipping in a police station, United Kingdom, late 19th century. Architects present models of the World Trade Center, USA, 1964. In 1950, the Guinness Book of Records named Klaus from San Francisco the fattest cat. At 8 years old, he weighed 40 pounds and had a 36-inch waist. In 1948, a local chief of the Mandan, Arikara, and Hidatsa tribes in North Dakota weeps as he is forced to sign a treaty to cede fertile lands in the Missouri River Plain, the homeland of his people, under the threat of genocide. Passengers board the Titanic, 1912. Filming Titanic, 1997. An outraged woman, Paris, 1948. The explosion of a boiler in a steam locomotive, one of the many scourges of the 19th century. Despite strict regulations for boiler safety and maintenance, they exploded frequently, making the machinist's job not only hard, but also dangerous. The explosion of a boiler in a steam locomotive, one of the many scourges of the 19th century. Despite strict regulations for boiler safety and maintenance, they exploded frequently, making the machinist's job not only hard, but also dangerous. Jonas Salk declined to patent his polio vaccine in 1955. By doing so, he lost $7 billion, but made the vaccine accessible to children worldwide. Thanks to him, the incidence of polio decreased by 96%. A Filipino survivor of the Manila Massacre shows the attempt of a Japanese officer to behead him. The Manila Massacre, which took place between February and March of 1945 during the Philippine Campaign, took the lives of between 100,000 and 240,000 civilians, according to U.S. estimates. 18-year-old Kesha Thomas protects a fallen man, suspected of having ties to the Ku Klux Klan, from an enraged crowd of protesters. Michigan, USA, 1996. 100 years ago, this man was considered incredibly fat and was even showcased in a circus. We have returned home, USSR during World War II. The day of the assassination attempt, Archduke Ferdinand and his wife, Duchess Sophie of Hohenberg, June 28, 1914. Adolf Hitler in occupied Paris, 1940. During the casting for the lead role in the horror film The Shadow of the Cat, 1961. In 1998, a bridge was built over the Choluteca River in Honduras, but Hurricane Mitch shifted the river's course. All-mad dictator Idi Amin declares a one-day war on the United States, only to declare himself the winner the next day. Uganda, 1975. During his rule, up to 500,000 people were victims of repression, with at least 2,000 of his own citizens killed personally by the president. Mass strike of African Americans and equality supporters. Tennessee, 1968. The Last Mexican Grizzly Bear is shown to the public. Mexico, 1954. Women on a Date in Prison, 1989. Family Portrait During the Spanish Flu, 1918. A century-old advertisement claimed that heroin kept your head always clear and fresh. In Janusz Korczak Walks with Children to the Gas Chamber, 1942. Janusz Korczak was a Polish educator, doctor, and writer of Jewish descent. In August 1942, despite having the chance to save himself, he chose to die in the gas chamber at the Treblinka death camp with the children from the orphans' home he had been guiding. When offered the chance to leave the ghetto, he replied, "You wouldn't abandon your child to misfortune, sickness, and danger. And here there are 200 children. How could I leave them alone in the gas chamber?" Finnish blacksmith Pirtimaki stands in line all night to become the first buyer of a bottle of vodka after the end of Prohibition, April 5th, 1932. A horse in a tree after a storm in Louisville, Kentucky, 1937. Testing bulletproof glass, New York, 1931. Dubai in 1985 and 2016. Jacques Plante became the first goaltender in hockey history to play wearing a mask, 1959. A police officer on a Harley with an old-fashioned mobile pre-arrest camera, 1921. The last known photo of Charlie Chaplin. Winston Churchill is carried on a stretcher after being hit by a car in New York, 1931. Sophia Loren in an advertisement for marinated anchovies, USA, 1951. A passenger on a bus with his pet, France, 1950s. Princess Diana on a yacht, less than a month before her death, 1997. Audience reaction to a scene from Alien when the monster bursts out of the chest, 1979. Schoolboy Andrei Novikov signals an air raid alarm, USSR, World War II. This is not a fall, but a descent down the scariest slope in America, Corbett's Couloir. Doug Coombs, 1990. Refusal of service for Soviet-made Lada cars until the USSR leaves Afghanistan, Canada, 1984. Monks from Asakusa Temple prepare for the Sino-Japanese War, Japan, 1936. An artificial tree used by the British Army as an observation point during World War I. Wounded British soldiers with captured German helmets, France, 1916. A Canadian soldier says goodbye to his daughter before heading to war, World War I, 1914. The charred remains of the cabin of Apollo 1. 3 astronauts, Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee, died in the cabin. The Arkadyko Bridge in Greece, built during the Mycenaean civilization from the 16th to the 11th centuries BCE, is one of the oldest arch bridges in the world and the oldest bridge in Europe. A snake man entertains other soldiers at the front, France, 1915. Red Light District, Amsterdam, 1968. Linus, the longest-haired and longest-tailed horse in the world. The librarian of the National Library of Calcutta divides books between India and Pakistan after the partition in 1947. Lieutenant William Spreckley of the British Armed Forces is hospitalized in January 1917 with a shrapnel head wound and leaves Sir Harold Gillis Clinic in October 1920 with a significantly corrected appearance. The last male northern white rhinoceros under personal guard in Kenya. On April 15, 1989, one of the most horrific tragedies in the history of English football occurred. 94 Liverpool fans were crushed to death, and 766 others were injured at Hillsborough Stadium during an FA Cup semi-final match against Nottingham Forest. A Siberian chainmail suit for bear hunting, 1800. An American Marine offers his cigarette to a Japanese soldier who had pretended to be dead for more than 2 days, 1945. The last public execution by guillotine in France, 1939. Vincenzo Peruggia stole the Mona Lisa from the Louvre in 1911, and in 1913, the painting was found in his hotel room in Florence. Refugees flee from North Korea to the south on a train as communist troops advance from the north, 1950. Teeth filing in Indonesian tribes, 1938. Fans waiting for a Beatles concert, 1964. Bear treatment for back pain, Romania, 1946. Roosevelt gets out of the car during his campaign trip to Hollywood, one of the few photos showing his paralytic condition, which journalists and photographers avoided showing during World War II. An unemployed man sells ad space on his bald head for a sports magazine, Budapest, Hungary, 1939. King Olaf V of Norway presents his ticket to the conductor, 1973. The king traveled without security and said he had 4 million bodyguards, referring to the number of Norwegians in the country at the time. An old Halloween costume. Dancing Man, a photo taken on August 15, 1945, in Sydney, Australia. A man is seen dancing in the street out of joy upon hearing the news that World War II has ended. A concert recording on an audio tape recorder, Poland, 1980s. Marilyn Monroe in the arms of John F. Kennedy, USA, 1947. Posing in the style of the Headless Horseman, 1920s. A hat for listening to the radio, 1949. On February 11th, 1990, Mike Tyson suffered his first loss. The image of a 21st century man, according to Vogue magazine, 1939. The Tree of Death, one of the most infamous places. During World War II, the Nazis hanged partisans from this tree, and later, partisans hung Nazi occupiers here. A polar bear cub embraces its dead mother near Svalbard. The cub sat in this position for a day and night, refusing food. The photo, taken by famed photographer Lennart Nilsson, became one of his first shots for a published article titled Hunting Polar Bears, 1947. Francesco Lentini, a man with a rare developmental anomaly from the island of Sicily. He was born in 1889 with 3 legs and 2 sexual organs, earning his living by working in a circus. A young white child touches the shield of a black police officer during a Ku Klux Klan rally in Gainesville, Georgia, 1992. A young white child touches the shield of a black police officer during a Ku Klux Klan rally in Gainesville, Georgia, 1992. Thylacine, the last Tasmanian tiger, 1910s. The fashionable vice of the Victorian era, opium addiction, which began in China. The English facilitated this trade, preferring to pay with opium instead of silver for tea. Photo from 1865. A communication device between a driver and passenger, 1970s. Sharp dressers at a football match between Brighton and Watford, 1920. Churchill poses at the entrance to Hitler's bunker, sitting in his chair. Martin Luther King Jr. is arrested for demanding service at a whites-only restaurant, Florida, USA, 1964. A Ku Klux Klan member, 1868. Finnish troops use a homemade slingshot to throw grenades at invading Soviet forces, 1939. Russian peasants are introduced to electricity, 1920. Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet, and James Cameron on the set of Titanic, 1997. Naturalist Carl Akeley poses with a leopard that attacked him, which he killed with his bare hands, 1896. The contents of a Viking tool chest dropped over 1,000 years ago in Lake Mastemyr on Gotland Island. The chest was recovered in 1936. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope these photos impressed you. Some may have made you angry, brought a smile, made you happy, or perhaps even caused some negativity. Feel free to leave your comments and stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.